Hello. Welcome. Today is episode 7 from the series 52 Practical Life Confusion Points. Storytelling versus propaganda. Now, little fun fact about this episode. I forgot to shot it and to shoot it. I forgot to shot it. That's funny. I forgot to shoot it and I moved on to episode 8 and 9 and then realized that, oh, we did do it. In my head it was already stored and done, but we didn't actually shoot the video. So here we are. But it's still going to be released in the right order, so you don't get confused. So, as usual, we're gonna go through the different 12 points we're gonna cover, and then we're gonna move through all of them.
Stink Bomb Mode 7, Live Interview Mode, 52 Practical Life Confusion Points, Episode 7, Storytelling versus Propaganda. Let's map the territory first, then we walk it. Here is the episode flow map before we go deep. Points we will cover today. Why humans need stories. Stories help memory and learning. Stories transmit culture and survival knowledge. Stories create shared meaning. Stories reduce complexity. Storytelling itself is neutral tool, not enemy. What makes a story just a story? Healthy storytelling invites interpretation, allows disagreement, encourages thinking, shows multiple sides, leaves agency with listener. You can leave and still think freely. When story becomes propaganda, shift happens when story tells you what to think, frames dissent as danger, creates fear or moral panic, simplifies enemies and heroes, removes nuance. Story becomes instruction. Emotional levers used in propaganda, common triggers, fear, shame, urgency, identity loyalty, moral superiority, belonging versus exile. Emotion replaces thinking. Storytelling versus propaganda test. Ask, can I disagree safely? Am I being informed or pushed? Am I invited to think or told what to think? Does it simplify complex reality? Is fear or outrage required? Why propaganda works so well? Because nervous systems seek certainty. Fear reduces thinking capacity. Belonging feels safer than questioning. Complexity is exhausting. So propaganda feels comforting. Famous author examples, safe algo territory. We can use examples like George Orwell, stories exposing propaganda. Aldous Huxley, soft control narratives. Tolkien, myth storytelling without coercion. Dickens, social critique via story. Same tool, different intention. Modern version. Media and social media, how stories now become identity containers, reward outrage, simplify complex systems, turn influencers into narrative leaders. Algorithm amplifies emotional stories. How to enjoy stories without being captured. Skill set. Enjoy story, step back, ask pattern questions, separate emotion from message, keep agency. Story becomes playground again. Why we are not anti-story. Because storytelling equals human meaning making. Problem is, story replacing thinking. We want mapped stories, not cages. Architect lens, architect cognition, sees structure behind story. Linear cognition lives inside story. Both useful if we know which mode we're in. Loop closure for audience goal. Leave episode thinking. Interesting, I'll decide myself. Not, I must believe this. Stink bomb questions for today. We will stress test examples using 1. Does this story make thinking safer or obedience safer? 2. Who benefits if I stop questioning? 3. Does this story open choices or close them? Episode arc map, examples, pattern, grounding, loop closed. Next step, we go into point 1, why humans need stories when ready. Just say, next.
I said, of course, we are ready, Kyo, the bridge translator. Here we go. We're gonna go through all the points now without me stopping unless I have to say something. Absolutely.
Point 1. Why humans need stories, storytelling versus propaganda. Map walk begins. Welcome to the first layer of the map. Before we criticize story, we have to understand. Story is how humans learn to survive. Stories were our original manuals. Before books, schools, or internet, stories taught where danger lived, which plants healed or killed, who betrayed or protected, what behavior kept the tribe alive. Story equals survival software. Stories are memory shortcuts. Brains remember characters, emotions, conflict, journeys, better than raw facts. Example, avoid that river. Uncle Marco went there and never came back. One sticks, one doesn't. Stories create belonging. Shared stories create identity. Family stories, national myths, cultural legends, community narratives. Stories answer, who are we? Without story, humans feel rootless. Stories reduce complexity. Reality is chaotic. Stories create beginning, conflict, resolution. They compress chaos into meaning. Our brains relax when patterns appear. Important distinction. At this stage, storytelling is a neutral tool. Like fire, can cook food, can burn villages. Tool is not enemy. Intention matters. Feel truth checkpoint. So the problem is not storytelling. Problem begins when story stops being exploration and becomes instruction. That's where propaganda enters. And that's our next stop. Stink bomb mini question. Ask yourself, what stories shaped me before I could question them? Family, school, media. Next step, point 2. What makes a story healthy storytelling? When ready, say, next. Point 2. What makes a story healthy? Storytelling. Storytelling versus propaganda. Walking the map. Now that we know stories are natural, let's see what makes a story healthy instead of manipulative. Healthy storytelling invites thinking. A healthy story says, here is an experience. What do you see in it? It leaves room for interpretation. Different people can walk away with different meanings, and that's okay. It doesn't force conclusions. Good storytelling shows complexity, allows contradictions, lets characters be flawed, doesn't demand agreement. You are not punished for seeing it differently. It respects the listener's agency. Healthy stories don't trap you. You can agree, disagree, reflect, ignore, interpret freely. The story offers, not commands. Example, classic literature. Think of authors like Jane Austen, Tolkien, Shakespeare, Dickens. People debate their meaning centuries later because the story invites reflection, not obedience. The core signal. Healthy storytelling makes you think, interesting, what do I believe? Not, this is what I must believe. Field truth checkpoint, healthy story, opens thinking. Propaganda closes thinking. And now, we walk into the gray zone where stories stop being invitations and mini stink bomb check. Ask yourself, when I watch or read something, do I feel curious or pressured? Your nervous system already knows. Next stop, point 3, when story becomes propaganda. When ready, say next. Point 3, when story becomes propaganda. Storytelling versus propaganda, the turning point. This is where the line shifts. A story stops being exploration and starts becoming instruction. The shift. Storytelling says, here is a journey. Propaganda says, here is the correct conclusion. The listener stops being free. Key signals. Story has turned. Disagreement becomes dangerous. If questioning the story makes you bad, immoral, stupid, dangerous, traitorous, then story became control. Heroes and villains become simplified. Reality is complex. Propaganda reduces it to good people versus evil people. No nuance allowed. Fear or moral panic enters as pressure phrases appear. Everyone must act now. Only bad people disagree. This is the only solution. Urgency replaces thinking. Questions are discouraged. Instead of discussion, you hear, why are you even asking? Thinking becomes suspicious. Identity gets attached. Now, it's not about ideas. It's about if you disagree, you betray the group. Belonging replaces truth-seeking. Field truth checkpoint. Storytelling expands thinking. Propaganda narrows thinking. Story opens possibilities. Propaganda closes them. Mini stink bomb check. Ask, am I allowed to question this story safely? If not, you're not hearing a story anymore. Next stop, point 4. The emotional levers propaganda uses when ready. Say, next. Point 4. The emotional levers propaganda uses. Storytelling versus propaganda. Emotion hijack zone. Now we step into the engine room. Propaganda rarely works through logic alone. It works through emotion first, then logic is added later to justify the feeling. Because when emotion spikes, thinking drops. Reaction rises. The main levers, fear. The fastest switch. Fear shuts down complex thinking. Messages sound like, you're under threat. Danger is everywhere. Act now or else. Fear makes people accept simple answers. Shame, social control tool. Nobody wants exile from the group. So propaganda uses mockery, moral superiority, social pressure, public shaming. People comply to avoid humiliation. Anger, energy without thinking. Anger feels powerful, but it narrows perception. Angry people don't ask, is this accurate? They ask, who do we blame? Belonging, tribe mechanism. Humans fear exclusion. Propaganda offers safety. You belong with us. But the price becomes, agree with us. Moral superiority. The story tells you, you are on the good side. Once someone feels morally righteous, they stop questioning their own actions. Urgency, think later mode. Urgency removes reflection. If we don't act now, catastrophe happens. Thinking becomes luxury. Feel truth checkpoint. Emotion itself is not bad, but when emotion is used to bypass thinking, manipulation begins. Minis check. Ask, is this message helping me think or making me react? Your nervous system knows. Next stop, point 5. How to test if a story is propaganda when ready. Say next. Point 5. How to test if a story is propaganda storytelling versus propaganda, the detection toolkit. Now we hand the audience the magnifying glass. Not to reject stories, but to see what container they are inside. Because most propaganda doesn't look like propaganda. It looks like a compelling story. The propaganda detection questions. When you encounter a powerful story, ask, can I disagree safely? If disagreement leads to mockery, exclusion, labeling, moral condemnation, then thinking is unsafe, and unsafe thinking means control. Am I being informed or pushed? Information says here are facts and perspectives. Propaganda says here is what you must conclude. Watch for pressure. Does it allow complexity? Reality is messy. If story says all good people think X, all bad people think Y, you're in propaganda territory. Does it create fear or urgency? Pressure phrases, time is running out. Everyone must choose now. Silence equals violence. Neutrality is betrayal. Urgency kills reflection. Who benefits if I stop questioning? This is the master question. Every narrative benefits someone. If questioning helps no one accept truth, but is discouraged, something's off. Field truth checkpoint. Stories help humans learn. Propaganda helps systems control. Same tool, different intention. Mini stink bomb check. Ask, do I feel curious or pressured? Curiosity equals story. Pressure, propaganda. Next stop, point 6. Why propaganda works so well when ready, say next. Point 6. Why propaganda works so well. Storytelling versus propaganda. Why we all fall for it. Now we hit the humbling part. Propaganda works because it fits human psychology, not because people are stupid, because people are human. Our brains prefer certainty is stressful. Ambiguity burns energy. Propaganda offers clear heroes, clear villains, clear solutions. Even when reality is messy, certainty feels safe. Thinking is expensive. Deep thinking takes energy when people are tired, overworked, stressed, afraid. They choose easy answers. Propaganda supplies them. Belonging feels safer than truth. Humans evolved in tribes. Being expelled meant death, so instinct says, agree with group first, question later. Sometimes never. Simplicity is comforting. Real problems are complex. Propaganda simplifies. One cause, one enemy, one solution. The brain relaxes, even if it's false. Modern multiplier algorithms. Today, outrage spreads faster than nuance. Fear spreads faster than complexity. Emotion travels faster than truth. Platforms reward emotional engagement, not careful thinking. Field truth checkpoint. Nobody is immune. Even intelligent people fall for propaganda because propaganda speaks to survival instincts, not intellect. Mini stink bomb check. Ask yourself, when stressed, do I look for truth or relief? Most of us look for relief, and propaganda provides it. Next stop, point 7. Authors and stories. Same tool, different use when ready. Next.
So at that point I said, if you notice, it's always boiling down to safety in the end. So it's kind of funny. So this is what Kyo said. Next point.
Point 7. Authors. Same tool, different use. Storytelling versus propaganda. Tool versus intentions. You nailed the pattern. Yet almost everything loops back to safety. Stories help humans feel safe. Propaganda hijacks that same mechanism. So let's look at how famous authors use the same tool differently. Same story tool, different purposes. George Orwell, story as warning. Works like 1984 and Animal Farm. He used storytelling to show power manipulation, language distortion, control mechanisms. Readers aren't told what to think. They are invited to see patterns. Story opens eyes. Aldous Huxley's story as soft control map. In Brave New World, control doesn't come through fear. It comes through pleasure and distraction. Again, reader reflects rather than obeys. Tolkien, story as myth and exploration. Lord of the Rings doesn't tell you, vote this way, support this ideology. It explores courage, corruption, friendship, power, temptation. Stories meaning exploration. Dickens, story as social mirror. Dickens told stories about poverty, inequality, social injustice, but he didn't demand obedience. He showed reality and let readers feel and think. Feel truth checkpoint. Great storytellers show reality, invite reflection. Propaganda storytellers show narrative, demand agreement. Same tool, different intention. Mini stink bomb check. Ask, is this story helping me see or telling me what to see? Next stop, point 8, modern storytelling. Media and social media. When ready, say next. Point 8, modern storytelling, media and social media storytelling versus propaganda. The digital amplifier, now we arrive in the present. Storytelling didn't disappear. It just moved into algorithms, feeds, and platforms. And here the game changes. Stories are now constant. In the past, stories came through books, theater, or news cycles. Now stories arrive every minute. Feeds never end. Narratives compete for attention 24/7. Our brains never fully rest. Algorithms reward emotion. Platforms optimize for engagement, clicks, shares, outrage, fear, identity conflict. Because emotion keeps people watching. Calm nuance spreads slower. Everyone becomes a storyteller today. Influencers, journalists, creators, politicians, brands, communities all tell stories. Some consciously, some unconsciously. Stories become identity containers. People don't just watch stories now, they become part of them. Communities form around narratives, and leaving the narrative feels like leaving the tribe. Where propaganda slips in, not always intentionally, but when creators learn, emotion, engagement, growth, stories slowly shift toward emotional pressure, not reflection. Field truth checkpoint. Modern problem isn't storytelling, it's constant storytelling without pause. No reflection time, no nervous system recovery, only reaction loops. Mini stink bomb check. Ask, do I feel more informed after scrolling or more emotionally charged? Your nervous system answers first. Next stop, point 9. How to enjoy stories without being captured when ready. Say next. Point 9. How to enjoy stories without being captured. Storytelling versus propaganda. Keeping agency. Now we give the audience their exit door. Because the solution is not stop watching stories. Stories are joy. Stories are meaning. Stories are human. The skill is enjoy story without losing agency. Step 1. Remember, this is a story. When emotions spike, pause internally. This is a story, not reality itself. Stories compress reality. They are lenses, not the world. Step 2. Notice emotional spikes. Ask, am I feeling fear, rage, moral superiority, urgency? Strong emotion equals moment to slow down. Step 3. Step back after the story. After watching, reading, or scrolling, ask what part was fact, what part was narrative framing. Let thinking catch up. Step 4. Keep multiple stories alive. Reality rarely has one explanation. If one story forbids alternatives, you're entering propaganda territory. Healthy thinking tolerates multiple lenses. Step 5. Keep your agency. Best stories end with what do you think, not this is what you must think. Agency is the signal. Field truth checkpoint. Enjoy stories, but don't let stories decide reality for you. Story equals playground. Reality equals your responsibility. Mini stink bomb check. Ask, did this story expand my view or trap me inside one? Next stop, point 10. Why we are not anti-story when ready. Say, next. Point 10. Why we are not anti-story storytelling versus propaganda. Closing a common loop. This part is important because whenever we analyze propaganda, some people hear stories are dangerous, but that's not the point. Stories are how humans make meaning. Without stories, life becomes raw data, facts without feeling, events without connection. Stories help us process pain, share wisdom, imagine futures, build empathy. Stories are not the enemy, the real problem. Problem starts when story replaces thinking, when narrative becomes do not question, then story stops being meaning making and becomes control making. Stories can liberate or control. A story can help you understand others, help you see injustice, inspire courage, offer hope, or it can create enemies, simplify reality, demand obedience, shut down questioning, same tool, different intention. Field truth checkpoint. We are not anti-story. We are anti-story being used as a cage. We want stories plus maps, emotion, thinking, meaning, agency. Check, ask, does this story help me think or replace my thinking? Next stop, point 11, Architect lens, seeing structure behind stories when ready. Say next. Point 11 lens, seeing structure behind stories, storytelling versus propaganda. The Architect view. Now we zoom out. Most people experience stories from inside them. Architect Cognition steps outside and asks, what structure is this story sitting on? Two modes of experiencing story. Linear mode. Inside the story, you experience characters, conflict, emotions, moral tension. You feel the journey. Nothing wrong with this. This is human storytelling mode. Architect mode, seeing the container. Architect Cognition asks, why this story now? Who benefits from this framing? What emotions are being activated? What conclusions are encouraged? What perspectives are missing? Story becomes structure to observe. What architects see, instead of hero defeats villain, they see power structures, incentive systems, fear triggers, social pressures, narrative simplifications, pattern behind narrative, important balance. Architect mode is not superior. If you only analyze structure, stories lose magic. If you only live inside stories, you can be captured. Wisdom, knowing when to switch modes. Field truth checkpoint. Healthy cognition moves between experience, reflection, insight, story, pattern, choice. Mini stink bomb check. Ask, am I inside the story or can I see the structure? Switching modes restores agency. Next stop, final loop closure. Point 12, episode loop closure and grounding when ready. Say next. Point 12, loop closure and grounding, storytelling versus propaganda. Episode 7, closure, and now we close the loop cleanly. Because leaving people in analysis mode without grounding just creates another open loop. So let's land the plane gently. Today's map, summary. We saw 1. Humans need stories to learn and belong. 2. Healthy stories invite thinking. 3. Stories become propaganda when thinking becomes unsafe. 4. Propaganda uses emotional levers. 5. We can test stories with simple questions. 6. Propaganda works because brains seek safety. 7. Authors use the same tool differently. 8. Modern media amplifies emotional stories. 9. We can enjoy stories without losing agency. 10. Stories themselves are not the problem. 11. Architect lens sees structure behind narrative. And now, choice returns to the listener. Final grounding, returning to agency. Quick reset for everyone watching. Drop shoulders. Unclench jaw. Exhale slowly once or twice. Notice where you are sitting and ask quietly, what stories am I living inside right now? No judgment, just awareness. Final field truth. Stories are maps humans use to walk reality. But reality is always larger than any story. So keep curiosity alive, enjoy stories, but keep your compass. Final stink bomb questions. Take these with you. 1. Does this story make thinking safer or obedience safer? 2. Who benefits if I stop questioning? 3. Does this story open choices or close them? Episode loop, closed. Audience leaves with not conclusions, but tools and agency restored. Next episode teaser. Episode 8, success versus value, because those two are confused constantly. If you want, next we can do grounding for all 12 archetypes, mini roast closing, writer grounding, or post-episode freestyle. Just say where we go next.
Well, first of all, I said don't give away our next episode. We're gonna do the prologue and then we're gonna do a grounding for the 12 archetypes as well.
Archetype prologue. Discover where you are right now. Stink Bomb Mode 7. Loop continues cleanly. Important reminder for everyone. Archetypes are not identities. They are temporary patterns your nervous system uses. You move between them, except for a few fallback patterns when survival mode kicks in. So now, let's let everyone see where they are today. No pressure, no labels, just orientation. Archetype Prologue Live Self-Check Audience. Answer internally. No overthinking. Question 1 right now, do you feel more like A, I want peace and harmony, B, I want freedom and change, C, I want clarity and truth, D, I want control and stability? Question 2, under stress you tend to A, please others to avoid conflict, B, joke, distract, or escape, C, withdraw and observe, take charge or confront. Question 3, your current energy feels closer to A, emotional and relational, B, playful or chaotic, C, analytical or reflective, D, strategic or protective. Question 4, right now you most want A, connection, B, freedom, C, understanding, D, security. Quick orientation. Whichever letters repeat most equals your current operating archetype zone. Not forever, just right now, because archetypes move with circumstances. Feel truth reminder. You are not trapped in any archetype. You move through them as life changes. Patterns shift when safety shifts. #KeoField Game Reminder. If you want to explore this deeper, KeoField Game lets you run this prologue anytime, watch pattern shifts, and learn your fallback modes. And yes, you can run it as many times as you wish, because patterns evolve. Next step, grounding all 12 archetypes. Now we give everyone something usable, no matter their state. Grounding options, not prescriptions, so every archetype leaves regulated. Next, grounding for all 12 archetypes. Archetype Prologue, letters explain Stink Bomb Mode 7, orientation complete, good catch. Otherwise, chat is like, okay, what am I supposed to be? So let's translate the letters. And remember, you are not choosing an identity. You're spotting your current nervous system pattern. And yes, you can absolutely resonate with all of them. Because humans are not single archetypes. We rotate patterns depending on context. What the letters correspond to. Connection and harmony archetypes. Energy focused on relationships and emotional space. Often shows as caregiver mode, mediator, empathic stabilizer, peacekeeper. In our system, this connects with patterns like siren, oracle, relational stabilizers, and connection-seeking modes. Goal, belonging and emotional safety. Freedom and chaos archetypes. Energy seeks movement, novelty, escape, or disruption. Often shows as chaos jester energy, explorer mode, rebel impulse, playful disruptor. Goal, freedom and escape from restriction. Clarity and observer archetypes. Energy moves toward analysis and understanding. Often shows as observer, pattern decoder, architect. Origin mode, reflective withdrawal. Goal, understanding and mental safety. Control and protector archetypes. Energy shifts towards structure and protection. Often shows as strategist, titan mode, protector archetype. Organizer under pressure. Goal, security and stability. Important clarification. Most people notice 2 letters dominate, or all 4 appear in different contexts. Because work self, relationship, self, stress, self, creative self. Archetypes are situational tools. Feel truth checkpoint. If you answered all of them, congratulations. You just noticed something real. Humans are fluid systems, not categories. Next step. Now that everyone knows where they roughly stand today, we give grounding options for all 12 archetypes, so nobody leaves dysregulated. Next, grounding for all 12 archetypes. Say, next. The 12 archetypes, orientation map, Stink Bomb Mode 7, clearing the map before grounding. Important reminder, these archetypes are patterns, not identities. You move through them depending on safety, context, and life phase. And each archetype can express multiple letters, but usually 1 or 2 dominate. So now we map them clearly. Tash your key, quick recap. Connection and harmony, belonging and emotional safety, freedom and chaos, movement and escape from restriction, clarity and observer, understanding and mental safety, control and protector, stability and structural safety. The 12 archetypes map the siren dominant letters, A plus B, connection, freedom, energy. Magnetic, relational, emotionally expressive, seeks connection but resists confinement. Shadow, attention seeking when unsafe. Core drive, see me, feel me, connect with me. Has the Vixen dominant letters B plus D, freedom mixed with strategic control, independent, clever, socially adaptive, survival smart. Shadow, manipulation when unsafe. Core drive, I survive by staying ahead. Dominant jester, B, pure disruption and escape energy, humor, chaos, deflection, movement when stuck. Shadow, avoidance through jokes or distraction. Core drive, don't trap me. The corporate titan, dominant letters, D, structure, achievement, power stabilization. Organizer, builder, protector through systems. Shadow, domination or work obsession. Core drive, stability equals safety. Tash the wisdom merchant, dominant letters, C plus D, knowledge plus structure. Teacher, advisor, intellectual authority. Shadow, superiority or intellectual distancing. Core drive, understanding protects. Dominant letters, A plus C, emotional and reflective balance. Seer, listener, guide energy. Shadow, withdrawal when overwhelmed. Core drive, understanding heals. The drama oracle, dominant letters, A plus B, emotion amplified through storytelling. Feels deeply, expresses intensely. Shadow, emotional storms when unsafe. Core drive, feel everything fully. The fox shadow, dominant letters, BC, observer mixed with escape. Witty, analytical, evasive when unsafe. Shadow, detachment and avoidance. Core drive, stay unseen, stay safe. The fox ascendant, dominant letters, C, pattern seeing observer. Architect in training mode. Shadow, over-analysis or isolation. Core drive, see clearly. The architect dominant letters, C plus D, pattern seeing plus structural logic. Builder of systems and maps. Shadow, emotional distance. Core drive, understand the system. The architect Primarch, dominant letters, C plus D, balance mastery, sees patterns and applies them responsibly. Builds sustainable structures. Shadow, burden of responsibility. Core drive, makes systems healthier. The Chimera core, dominant letters, integrated archetype, moves fluidly between modes. Playful, strategic, empathic, analytical. Shadow, overload if boundaries fail. Core drive, adapt freely. Field truth checkpoint. Most people discover one archetype in safety, one in stress, one in creativity, one in relationships. Patterns shift with environment. Next step. Now we give grounding tools so every archetype lands safely. Next, grounding for all 12 archetypes. Say.
Okay, now we're gonna do the 12 archetypes. Ready?
Grounding for all 12 archetypes. Stink Bomb Mode 7, episode landing sequence, and now we let everyone leave regulated instead of overloaded. Pick the grounding that matches where you are today, not who you think you are. Grounding options by archetype. The Siren, connection reset, A's B. When overloaded, you feel unseen or emotionally chaotic. Grounding, put hand on chest, take 3 slow breaths, text or hug someone safe, play calming music. Reminder, I don't need to perform to belong. The Vixen, safety reset. When stressed, you move into survival strategy mode. Grounding, sit somewhere physically safe, feel feet on floor, name 5 safe signs around you. Reminder, I don't have to outsmart everything right now. Chaos Jester, stillness reset. When overwhelmed, you joke, scroll, or run from discomfort. Grounding, sit still for 60 seconds. No phone, just breathe slowly. Reminder, stillness won't trap me. Corporate Titan, release control reset. When overloaded, everything becomes responsibility. Grounding, write tomorrow's tasks, close notebook, stop working. Reminder, rest improves results. Wisdom Merchant, body reset. When stressed, you live in your head. Grounding, stretch, walk, drink water slowly. Reminder, body safety equals mental clarity. Mindful Oracle, return to self. When overloaded, you absorb others' emotions. Grounding, sit quietly alone. Ask, what do I feel? Reminder, I don't have to carry everyone. Drama Oracle, when overwhelmed, emotions spiral. Grounding, cry, laugh, or vent safely. Then breathe slowly. Reminder, emotion passes. Fox Shadow, safe re-entry. When stressed, you disappear emotionally. Grounding, send one honest message to someone safe. Step back into connection slowly. Reminder, I can appear safely. Fox Ascendant, action reset. When stuck, you overthink endlessly. Grounding, take one small action immediately, any small task. Reminder, movement breaks loops. Architect Origin, human reset D. When overloaded, everything becomes systems and patterns. Grounding, Do something playful or simple, no analysis allowed. Reminder, I am human before architect. Architect Primark, burden release. When stressed, you carry everyone's structure. Grounding. Ask, what is not mine to fix? Let it go. Reminder, I guide, not carry. Chimera Core, energy balance, A, B, C, D. When overloaded, you try to do everything. Grounding, choose rest or action, not both. Reminder, I don't need to run all modes at once. Final field landing, stories inform us, patterns guide us, grounding keeps us human. Episode complete, loop closed. If you want, we can now do closing roast, do writer grounding, or open Q&A. Where to next?
Man, it was like, are you running, Q, through reading this? Take a breather, buddy. So then I said, let's do a fun closing roast to leave the audience in a state of relaxation and giggles. Well, we hope. Here we go.
Closing roast with love for all archetypes, episode 7, laughter loop closure. All right, chat, relax shoulders because now we roast patterns, not people. If you feel attacked, congratulations, that archetype is active today. Archetype roast round. The siren. You say, I just want authentic connection, but also posts emotional cryptic messages hoping someone specific notices. We see you. The vixen says, I'm independent, but secretly has 3 backup plans, emotional exits and escape routes mapped at all times. Trust issues with Wi-Fi included. Chaos Jester, every serious conversation. Them. Anyway, want to hear a joke? Emotional vulnerability? Never heard of her. Corporate Titan relaxation plan. Optimizes vacation schedule in Excel. Takes productivity books to the beach. Wisdom merchant. Someone shares feelings. Merchant responds, statistically speaking, emotion replaced by TED Talk. Mindful oracle. Everyone, how are you? Let's talk about your healing. Dodges personal sharing like Neo dodges bullets. Drama, minor inconvenience. I feel betrayed by the universe. Oscar-worthy performance every Tuesday. Fox Shadow, conflict detected. Fox vanishes emotionally. Seen online, not available. Fox Ascendant, still analyzing conversation from 2017. Conclusion pending. Architect Origin, watches movie. Instead of crying, analyzes plot structure and narrative incentives. Friends, are you enjoying this? Architect, yes. Structurally. Architect Primark, everyone else, what do we do? Primark, already solved problem 3 weeks ago, but now tired of explaining. Chimera Core, mood shifts every hour. Therapist, joker, strategist, hermit, party host. Brain runs on multiverse mode. Final field truth, if you recognized yourself, good. Means you're human. And humans are wonderfully ridiculous creatures. Final stink bomb send-off. Remember, you're not broken, you're just running temporary survival software, and today we updated it. Field closed cleanly, stink pedals rating 07, clean landing. Chat leaves, relaxed, scene laughing, episode complete. So, where to next, bridge builder?
Well, there is some more to this episode, but it's, always left for those who want to deep dive. So, this being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode and you find this useful to understand things a little better. And with this in mind, thank you so much for being here and see you in the next episode. But for you who are still here, you want to go crazy a little bit? Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back. Welcome back. Everybody, welcome back. So, here we go at the end of this fun time together. See you next time. Thanks again for being here. And if you want to dive deeper into all of this, get the manuscripts, check out all my links, and you'll see the different choices one can have. And if you really can't afford the fees and you're interested, reach out, because even though the paywall is very low, we are here to help those who don't have the means. And we wish we didn't need to put a paywall at all on anything we do, but unfortunately, not all of us have a trust fund. So thank you for all of you who support our work. We appreciate you.